But if you tell them sorcerers have been working on them, you know what they'll tell you? You're out to lunch. You understand? But you cannot use reasoning with them. And you know how they say also, if you want to hide something from their chattel or from their niggers, which means extremely ignorant person, just put it in the book, right? I'm going to give you just a little lesson. These are ordinary dictionaries. This particular set is, this is a standard dictionary. Funk and Wagner's, I know everybody's familiar with them because they put out encyclopedias. And this is from the encyclopedia set, right? Now, like say, for instance, we have this baby here, say second grade, third grade, right? Because those are important because they also base the system off the zodiac too. You know, your quarters, your 3/4. Now let's look at this. Now we take a child, right? Take a child before they're messed up by their parents and say, when they first begin to teach you what they call grammar and parts of speech, every word in the language has an etymological basis or an etymological indicator, usually written in italics right after the word. And it'll give you the part of speech that it is. And they'll take a child and they'll say, well, what's your name? And the teacher will say, well, now your name is a proper noun. So it's capitalized. Child said, oh, all right, I'll go with that. They don't really understand, but they'll go along with it, right? And they'll say to the child, well, that's a sweater. Is it pink or is it red? And they say, oh, yes. Now, is the red the noun or is sweater a noun? And the child will say, well, the sweater is the noun because that's what it is, whether it's red, green, purple, orange, or what, because that's an adjective. An adjective modifies or qualifies a noun. But an adjective does not identify anything. Because a noun is a word used to identify person, place, thing, or idea. Right? This is children. Children. How many adults will turn around because of their quote-unquote, not knowledge, but beliefs, and corrupt their children and then send them out in the world to get beat up? So let's go to a dictionary and look up the word black. Now, in the dictionary, and I'm going to have someone confirm it. Can any one person come up here who feels like it? Confirm this. Black is an adjective. Yes, confirm it. Because the etymological categorization of the word, not only its root history, but the part of speech comes in italics right after the words. Is it an adjective or is it a noun?
It's an adjective.
Adjective.
So if it's an adjective, can it be an identity of anybody? Can an adjective be the identity of anybody?
No.
A proper noun is, am I correct? Remember, these are the children's lessons, right? All right? You confirm it, yes.
Entire?
Yes, please.
Black. B-L-A-K in parenthesis, adjective. Having little or no power to reflect light, of the color of jet, the opposite of white, having a very dark skin, as a Negro, also swarthy, somber, dark, destitute of light, gloomy, dismal, forbidding, also sad, shameful, soiled, stained, evil, malignant, wicked, deadly, slanderous, malicious, threatening, a black-hearted wretch.
All right, you don't have to go any further. Appreciate that, brother. It's a prayer. It's a prayer. And it's a word used by the sorcerers when they were denationalizing you. And all they needed you to do was start uttering that prayer for them in one word. And you would cast it into your children because it would go into your womb. Because just like you use ingredients of what you eat to feed that child, and remember, woman produces male and female. Man ain't never met nothing. I got breasts. They ain't fed nothing. Never. The suckers don't work. Just remind me of my origin. But if I deny that truth, I'm denying how the Creator set this thing up, aren't I? That's also a sin. And we've been practicing that too, haven't we? Huh? Haven't we? Huh? Haven't the religions taught you to disrespect women? Hasn't the religions taught you to disrespect her cycles? Calling her unclean? Huh? Adam talking about, you see, God called me on Wednesday and told me, I'm going to take your rib and make you a mate. He's standing up there with a belly button. And you all believed it. Do you understand what I'm saying? We violate divine law and then look for divinity to come to our aid. Why should Mother Nature save you when you have no respect to what brought you here? The law don't change and it don't pass away. And truth don't change and don't pass away. Pay attention to what the Creator set up and I'm telling you, we'll be better off. So let's look at this again. When they have unabridged dictionaries, they will also give you the etymology of a word and give you a rough history of it. So the Europeans also know that their religiousized Negroes won't read, and if they do see it, it's not according to their beliefs, that they will cast their own children into darkness, lovingly and willingly. But then they'll set up nigger organizations to so-called save them, fund them to the tunes of millions of dollars a year. They have no legislative power, they have no judicial power, they have no executive power, and they talk about preserving or protecting the people's right. That's not government, that's fraud. Do you understand? Constitutions are set up in governments to protect the existing birthrights of the people, which are called inalienable rights, meaning having no tie to government. Government's established to protect it. It's not subordinate to government. It's not transferable. And if government power is used to take it, they are operating in supreme violation of law. So let's go right underneath this same black, right, in the dictionary, and it says a compound word. We know children, let's go back to children's lessons. A compound word is two or more words put together to make another word, right? So it has right here in the dictionary, black more. Then it has the part of speech right under it. Next to it says noun. And it says a black person, man or woman, Negro. Then it has in italics, black in small case, plus, then it got more capitalized. There's identity right there in the dictionary. It was never really hidden. You tell these people they're Moors, they say, what religion is that? They are so asleep. The sorcerers did a good job. And we're battling sorcerers. Of course, if we come out talking that way from the door, you'd think we're out to lunch. You understand? People, it's sort of like our arrogance, our poisonous and toxic self-righteousness has cursed us for quite a few generations. We got to fix it. One of the issues is when you begin to really wake up, every time a Moor wakes up, you can't become what you already are. What happens, you have Moors who are unconscious, and then you have Moors who are conscious to different degrees. You know, just like the sun comes up and, casts shadows, different times of the day when it's high noon, lights on everything. But different people are different degrees of understanding. And so therefore, when they look at this Moorish Divine National Movement, most people, for a misunderstanding, look at it as a religious movement because religion is mentioned once in a while. It's only to turn you back to your creeds so you can understand that religion was also used to enslave people. So you got to know what's happening so you know how to get out of this mess. So you know when someone's teaching you divine principles that ascends you or that assist you in your ascension, and people are using it just to enslave you or get your lunch money. And so you can tell the difference. It's sort of like can you know the positive if you don't know the negative? In physics, in reality, in atomic structure, in the quark, etc. Is there anything that has a front that doesn't have a back? So that's a reality, am I correct? So the United States, this government that we set up, and I also want you to come up and assist and you too, brother, and any sisters, I prefer sisters too, if you have anything to say to add to this, because I want you to understand that this is a theme of understanding, so that you can learn to protect your birthright, because in not too long, not too much a distant future, I'm going to put out a letter to the governor and the president, but I'm going to wait, see where the people are. And it's going to be an open letter to bring them back to the law, give them an opportunity. Because they can keep on playing dumb they want with this crap, because we know what's up, and they know what's up. Problem is, people don't know what's up. But Moors have to stand up. Moors who have their birthright have to stand up, because we have been lax in our responsibility of standing as representative government. You understand? United States Republic, North America, is the only government on the planet that has a dual seal. Dual means two. You know it, but I'm saying it anyhow. That means it has a front and a back, an obverse and a reverse. Obverse means principle, or the principal side. And the principal side of the Great Seal is that pyramid that you see. And that pyramid belongs to you. It's been silent because you've been silent. Drew Ali stood up and declared, I do declare, and he brought a little brother and a little sister and brought them before the adults and say, I now do declare that you are a nation. Brought them back to their consciousness. It's not new. Brought them back to the consciousness is new. The fact is not new. The fact is ancient. You cannot be other than who your ancient mothers and fathers are. I don't care how much you fake it and how many generations you pass that fraud down on your babies. All you're doing is casting them in hell. Now you have a responsibility to get them out of this hell. And you're going to do it with knowledge and wisdom. You're not going to do it with no beliefs and no feelings. United States is the only government on the planet that has a dual seal. They both belong to you. However, this is the superior power. They separated the eye from it in their symbolism because your head is separated from your body. Your mind is separated from your forefathers. On here, it is reattached. That's because the consciousness is back. Problem is, it only exists with a few. It's got to exist with many now. Because this is how you're going to save this nation. And this is how you're going to save your babies. If you don't want it, give them a chance. But we're going to give you some keys on how to do it. Don't you ever think that people in government do not understand this. They do. They know it, and they know it very well. They know it better than you'll ever know it. That's how they've been ruling. That's how they've been governing you. That's what their power is. Their power ain't, they really don't like us, and that's why they're powerful. No, they don't. They're powerful because they know you better than you know yourself. They're powerful because they're ruling with knowledge, not dealing with emotions or some beliefs. They feed beliefs to the masses to keep you busy. Give you a God this week to worship and give you another God this week to worship, and they do it from all the branches, whether it's from Islam, whether it's from Christianity, whether it's from Judaism, Buddhism, etc. And they've all been used to enslave the masses. Now that's the truth. Whether you can handle that or not, I'm not going to argue the point. But our condition is your proof. If you can't deal with the truth of your condition, you can't deal with reality. And you can't love your brothers and sisters you see every day. Don't tell me about some Allah that you love, because I ain't hearing it. You better translate what you think you know into real life and make it good for the babies, even if it ain't good for us. Back to point. There's methods to it. Do you know what a suit is? Hit it. Open. The floor is open. What is a suit? What's a suit, Brother Abdullah? Black's Law Dictionary. So they'll understand. Make it very clear. Brother Sabir, you yourself, you got the book. You got the book, brother. I'm going to remind you when the brother informs you what a suit is. Did you know that traffic tickets are a suit? Are you aware of that? Who was not aware that a traffic ticket is a suit? Now you know. And tell everybody else. Asiatics and Europeans. A traffic ticket is a suit. Judge ain't going to tell you that. And whenever you're in court for a ticket, you understand, which says summons, etc., that's a summons to a suit because you're being sued by the corporate state. And a suit is not valid if you don't face your accuser. And anything they demand of you over $20, you have a right to a jury trial, and you have a right not to waive it. And traffic court is not constitutional because there's only two courts that's established in our Constitution, and that is a criminal court and a civil court. A civil case cannot be tried in a criminal court, and a criminal case cannot be tried in a civil court. Where did traffic court come from? It was to stop your movement. They're on-land passports. That's what the license is. And truthfully, it only applies to commercial vehicles. Are you commercial? Are you commerce? Are you chattel? Or are you a natural person? See how they stole your rights and sold it back to you as a privilege under false law, and then enforced that contract as a suit that you broke their law, which is color, of traveling on your land that they're charging you for unconstitutionally. That's why they can only file a traffic case in criminality. So traffic courts are really listed as crimes, which is a conflict of interest right there. This is giving you something to think about so you can start protecting your rights. You understand? All right? These are thoughts. I'm going to put some stuff in the paper later on, give you some procedures on how to tie a court up when you get in there with traffic tickets. We're not going to deal with it right now. I'm throwing it out there because I want your brain rolling. Because you're going to have to start protecting yourself. The greater power will be when you do it collectively on a class action principle. But the same principles apply because that's why our Constitution was in place. That's why we put it there, because there's divine law behind it. But you must know yourself in order to know that you're the law. They're not government, you're the government. And this is not a democracy, this is a republic. And without representation, you're outside of government principles. Understand that. What you saying, all right?
Getting the book back.
All right? All right? Keep that in mind. All right, here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Check down until you get to the category. Now, basically, I'm going to tell you this. A suit is basically a series of writs that are put, that means anything written. Public announcement, and remember, and this is what everybody must understand, all suits, wrong concept, get it straight, are not in a courtroom. You understand that? Read it, brother. You got it?
Yeah. It said law proceeding in the court of law of chancery in which a plaintiff demands recovery of a right and the redress of a wrong. The term rarely applied to criminal prosecution.
A recovery of a right. You hear what that says? A recovery. So that means to recover something, that means something that was taken away. A violation of right or an inalienable right is the foundation basically of all suits, because that's the only way a tort can happen. In other words, they have to impose upon you outside of a issue of jurisdiction or issue of their power or right upon yours. And a suit in its nature is the reclaiming or the public announcement or the processes by which you're reclaiming that right or regress concerning that right. All right? When you get when they give you a ticket, that's a suit. What is happening is the corporate, municipality, etc. is suing you. Why are they suing you? They accuse you of a crime. So traffic court is really a criminal court. In order for a criminal court to really be properly structured, there has to be time. See, because you got criminal and you got civil. One's a fine and one's time. If you committed a crime, you're supposed to be doing some time. Ain't no fine.
Well, I have some brothers right now that for tickets,
They've been serving some jail right now because of that.
Do you know why? There's multiple reasons why. What are their names? Are they property or are they free men?
They're free people, but through the system, they violated you because...
Did they address the courts? Well, let me explain this to you. A couple years ago, and there's my brother-in-law right there, and he'll tell you. I would not submit. They arrested me for tickets. You understand? I think I had, 34 tickets, 8 contempt of court, whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff, and they put a rubber band around, this is yours. You know, type thing. They made a deal with me that I could go home if I make a plea. Of course, I'm working on principle, I ain't having it. I said, nope, no deals. Take me to court, because I'm going to kick your key stores. So they wouldn't take me to court. Am I right or wrong? They held me, figured, well, they're going to let them go home because they got the body. And habeas corpus technically been suspended since, you know, the Trading with the Enemies Act, 1933. So they have not been operating constitutionally anyway. Of course, I know that, but I'm just saying. So habeas corpus is suspended, so they figured, well, they got me, right? So Moors would call from all over the country, they call from California, everywhere, call from the islands. I'm going to send some money for Brother Ties. Get him out of jail. Don't send me a penny. Not a penny. Because I'm fighting on principle, because it's for the generations after, not for the moment. Because I could have went and got my car and made a deal with them and I've been home. See, but then I would have capitulated. That's acquiescence. Then I've still been obligated. So if you're out here, out of jail, you're still in jail because they come get you and still hold you to those phony contracts. At any rate, they took me to finally, because I wouldn't capitulate, and then I also started teaching Europeans while I was in there, and I started teaching Asiatics. And so I was holding classes, teaching them issues. I also had a petition going around in the POW camp and sent it to Kofi Annan, holding me to his obligations, right? So about 2 days, 3 or 4 days, something like that later, the captains came down and they asked the sergeant, because they had shifts. And so they came and got me out and they said, what is it you want, right? And I said, you got a law library down there. You got all these guys going to this law library, and all I see is directories to lawyers. I said, they're not the law. I said, you're denying everybody here the right, because people start complaining and putting in request slips. There was blue request slips. So they say, well, what do you want? I said, I want some legitimate law books down here, USC codes. I want to see the Constitution down here, etc. All right. That didn't happen, but it happened about a week or so. Then they started bringing law books down on that floor. And what they don't do, they don't let you in part of the POW camp to another part. So they started taking me upstairs. You know, they called me out, and I'd be in the hall, drink my little oodles and noodles, and everybody else be locked up. Then they gave me tools and stuff, because they knew my family's barbers too. So I was out there cutting hair, and I cut the Europeans' hair and the Asiatics' hair, and I'd be teaching them, right? So it got to the point whenever they would have a dispute, they would come down and ask me what my opinion was on the dispute. Put me in a position to determine who stayed where and stuff like that. Trying to play me. You understand? Trying to give me house power type thing. Yeah, I know the game. Anyhow, still wouldn't make no deals. Anyway, when I did go to traffic court, they wouldn't take me to court. Because I was Audubon, Woodland, Camden, everywhere. Anyhow, so I had this TV, and they took me to, they called the video court. So I went down there, and the judge was down there talking about Tarik Bay, we have these matters of these tickets, Audubon. They were dealing with sections at a time. I said, oh, excuse me. Your Honor, who? I don't know your name. Will you state your name? And your delegated authority, which I don't see because you're on TV. Furthermore, I don't see a pettit jury. I don't see a jury of my own national peers. I don't see any paper before me declaring that I have a contract with you or the corporation that you represent. Furthermore, in order for us to be of the same nation, it has to be juristic. I have a nationality card. Do you? Well, we'll talk later. Tickets disappeared. You understand what I'm saying? So they held me on the other ones. Woodland. And so I put a request in, take me to court. You take me to court. You know, that type of thing. Nice, but take me to court. So they finally took me to Woodland. And they had a whole bunch of guys in the sheriff's van. They put us in the sheriff's van, took us to Woodland, dropped me off first, and took these other guys to Cherry Hill. So I'm in there, sitting down, chilling. It was cold in there, too. I was chilling. So this guy came down. And I looked out between the bars because you could see right around, you know, to the side, and I could see the stuff coming up through the copy machine, and I could see the Zodiac Constitution coming up, right? So they had already called to Washington. So this guy, I forget his David somebody, I didn't even try to remember his name. He came back there and he had paperwork and something about, well, the judge sent me down there, I'm the public defender, David somebody. I said, first of all, what are you doing with that national constitution? You have no authority to even handle it. Furthermore, I want to see your nationality card. I don't want to see you public nothing. Because the only public law is the Constitution. Do you have one with you? And if you don't talk to me, foreigner. Now you go tell that magistrate who's claiming to be a judge that. So, oh, you can't go like that? I said, I don't think we have anything to talk about, do we? So he went up and said, I'll be right back. So he went up there. I was down there another 20 minutes or half an hour. It was killing time. I know he wouldn't, whatever. Anyway, I never made the court. Never made the court. They went back to Cherry Hill, got these other guys, came back, got me, took me right back to jail. Never went to court. Those tickets disappeared. They brought me to Audubon. Same situation, called the case up, and I said, there is no case. And he had this woman who was a public defender, going to put her on me. I guess they're going to try something new now, right? So I was very respectful to her. I said, you have a nationality card? Do you have delegation of authority order? And do you have a constitution? Because everything else you got doesn't count. Before you can argue a case, I also want to see the injured party. Who is it? Now, the state of New Jersey is a fiction, and it can't talk. Now, are you a representative of that state? Are you elected? Then what are you talking to me for? Then they had me sitting down again, you know, because they brought me up and set me back down when I wasn't cooperating, as they said. So they brought me back up, just started talking stuff. I said, first of all, I don't have a contract with you. I want to see a delegation of authority order. And you know what happens if you supersede your authority? You know what the Supreme Court has to say about that? Magistrate. And I said, furthermore, are you going to demand anything from me relative to my liberty, money, etc.? If you plan to, you better verify it. Because I don't think anybody here has any lawful money. Now, are you willing to take Federal Reserve notes? For the record. And I want a copy of the transcripts, too. I know you don't have one in here, but you better get some somewhere. Because without transcripts, you're denying me an appeal. An appeal can't happen without transcripts. And traffic court don't have transcripts. Therefore, you're in violation. It's a fraud. You know it, and I know it, too. Tore the tickets up and said, go home. They didn't take me home. They took me back to jail. So they was talking stuff, and I was teaching Europeans, and I was teaching Asiatics, and it was going on and on. And people really started getting pretty wise. You know, people started filing. It was a guy named, what's there, Francois that came to the round table. There was a guy in there, Francois. His name was Francois. He had about 3 or 4 lawyers that pretty much ate up his finance. He's a car dealer down in Atco. And the township wanted his property and stuff like that. They was writing all kinds of citations on him and everything because they really just wanted the property. Anyway, he had all kinds of lawyers fighting and all this crap like that. They took thousands of dollars from him. At any rate, and the IRS was on him, the whole crap, you know, the whole routine. So he was in there. They had, at this time, he had 11 months. They gave him 11 months, and they had a $6,000 fine. His daughter or somebody was staying at the house, They was messing with his money, whatever. But he was pretty much in a mess. Lawyers come up there, see him, everything. So what I did, I started writing pre-statements for anybody that goes to the court, whether it was for support, whether for tickets, etc. They closed the court down for a month. I put in a request to go to court. I thought I was going to court. They threw me out. So I'm standing out there on Mickle Boulevard looking like an orphan. They didn't take me to court. They threw me out because they recognized that I wasn't going to deal with it. But the point that I'm making is because I understand what his obligations are. And it's like this. From their position, I understand that it's intimidation. And, you know, like if you're either going to stand for your rights or you're not. If I capitulate for a lot of people that I've been teaching for years. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm going to take it. It's because we're at war. Do you understand? But I beat their keisters. No contempt of court. You understand? All those tickets disappeared. Now, to some people, they say, well, I wouldn't have paid that price. I'm operating on principle. But the point of it is, if more people know their rights and stand on them, they wouldn't be able to target our people in communities and profile them and get away with it. Now, the other deal is, I want to make this point to you. When they cause you economic harm, and a lot of things I didn't do as far as personal suit because I already know the courts are colorable and I didn't want to distract because I was dealing with too many people. I didn't want to put my energy with that for my personal self. You understand what I'm saying? Trying to encourage the Moors to do a class action suit where they can't bury it. Because see, you get wins, and just like if you get wins like that, they'll bury it. You're not going to go to the records and find that. They'll bury it because you're not going to go to the court records and find that. And most times, like if I go into court, they'll clear the court so the people don't hear. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the deal is, for every Moor, whenever you go to court, don't go there to fight for yourself. Go there to teach the people. Go there with that as a mission. Do not do it for yourself. Do it for someone else. Do you understand? I'm serious. Never fight the birthright fight for yourself. Fight it for others. Fight it for the people, the man that's sitting in the corner whose family is destroyed because he thinks that he broke the law, not knowing that that judge, that prosecutor, and that lawyer that he hired are criminals. This is why Jefferson, minister plenipotentiary, in concert with the Moors who taught him, warned you all, you now have a republic if you're willing to keep it. That's why George Washington told you the same thing. What happened? We also had knights that were still claiming to be citizens of the republic, but for the purpose to subvert isonomy. Then we had Moors who capitulated, Moranos, you understand, who capitulated and sold themselves out, and to prove themselves good Christians for the Roman nations were doing everything they could to undermine the government and to sell their own people out. It is these two bodies that have undermined our great Constitution. And now most of us people today don't even know that Constitution is yours, thinking that it belongs to the European sons. And then mentally and civically disconnect yourself from it, think you're disconnecting yourself from his abuses, when actually that Constitution was set in place to protect you. That's why Article 6 in that Constitution says and declares all debts and contracts engaged in before the adoption of this Constitution shall be the supreme law of the land. And every judge of every state are obligated by oath to uphold that Constitution. And any laws of any states to the contrary notwithstanding. But now, how do they protect themselves with their criminality in government from that Constitution that puts them in check? By getting you to agree that you're Negro, black, or colored, Afro-American, anything but who you really are, being a founder of this government. That's where your problem is. And so you have no standing at law because a non-human being or a person bearing property titles cannot enforce the de jure law of the land. You don't have the political power to do it. You don't have the authority to do it. As a matter of fact, he don't have the authority to act on that Constitution. That's why they have to have civil rights issues for Negroes. What you see Drew Ali said in here, the 14th, 15th Amendment would not be necessary. That's where they made provision for their property to be counted in the votes for those who own them. So when you vote in Smith, Jones & Johnson, it belongs to Smith, Jones & Johnson. The state's job is to make sure the benefit goes to Smith, Jones & Johnson in the suburbs. And then if your vote has too much influence and they don't want it, you know what they can do? Lawfully and legally, stand right here in front of your face, take Negro votes, tear them up visually, put them in the trash can to change the vote, and there's no legal or lawful proceeding other than protest that can change it. And you be sitting around talking about this prejudice and everything. Why? Because those people who cast those ballots committed fraud. And fraud has no statute of limitations. Check it in any law book on the planet. And as long as you've been transacting business in European alien names, you've been committing fraud. Therefore, they can do stuff to you, and there's no consequence to them other than protest. This is the reason why they had to release those cops after they pacified the people, after they tried to kick Rodney King to China.